Meeting.
Welcome everyone. We're going to get this rolling. We have, before we get going too much, we have a couple amendments to the agenda. I'd like to call out what is now item 3, consent agenda item. Simple sketch final simple parcel minor subdivision. This is proposing to do a simple parcel of 51.7 acres at 2430 and 42 Allen Martin Drive. We have an addition of, in item 4, under the site plan amendment, we have an addition of the words industrial district I-1. On item 5, we have the addition of footprint lot and a acreage or areas changing from 62,000 down to 39,243. And on other business, we have a sign application. And it looks like that's potentially all that we have on other business at that point. Is that correct? Or will there be additional other business?
Correct.
Okay. So, before we do too much, I would like to ask anyone who's going to be speaking this evening to us to please stand. Let's get the swearing in done and over with. And do you swear that any testimony you present this evening will be truthful to the best of your abilities? Thank you. I'd like to propose one other amendment to the agenda, and I'd like to move item number 7, other business, up to item 2, prior to public comments. Do we have any concerns about doing that? So noted. Other business, we have a sign application for 2 Carmichael Street, Unit 2. Sharon, would you like to speak to us on that?
This is a facade sign. It's the Planning Commission approved a templated colors so that I could sign off on all signage. However, the color proposed for the sign is close, but doesn't quite meet the color chart. So because of that, it's at your table, and I'm looking for a motion to allow the colors, should you so.
Have we seen the colors?
Well, it was part of your packet, so this is a sample.
Wasn't in my packet.
Was not in your packet.
Not in our packet.
So here they are. Yeah. Yep. So they are also proposing lighting that will be similar to what Dunkin' Donuts has next door.
Upward lighting.
It's gooseneck.
Down.
Down. Yeah. Josh.
So specifically, what coloring are we looking at? I mean, that's.
So.
Is it the red, the gold, the black?
Specifically, you're looking at the gold and orange. The black is, permitted on the color chart. So you did the same for Dunkin' Donuts.
Commissioners, thoughts?
So the colors that were in.
Those are the colors that are proposed for the sign that are not in the color chart. They're a little bit off. I'm sorry, I was supposed to have the color chart in mine, and I don't.
I'm good with it.
Is that a motion, John?
Signs right next to it.
Yeah, sure, that's a
Is that
motion.
kind of by itself?
Pardon me?
Is it kind of by itself? Or is it
It's
next-
on its own unit. So Dunkin' Donuts has its own facade signage, and Phoenix will have its own, and it will have, it's got Route 15, it's got Carmichael and Billy Butler.
Okay.
Is it a second for John's motion? So a motion by John, seconded by Tom to approve or to give staff the ability to manage this.
Thank you.
Do we have all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries
Thank you.
5-0. Okay, for public comments, what is now item 3. This will involve any item that folks want to chat with us about that's not on the agenda, including the consent agenda items. And this is also for planning commissioners to offer comment questions on the consent agenda item. So with that, I'll open the floor to public comment and/or commentary on the consent agenda item, which is now item 4.
I have a question. Is there supposed to be a 50-foot buffer between the two lots?
There'd be a 50-foot setback. But
No, there's supposed to be an internal 50-foot buffer.
No, it's just a setback within, between lots in the RPDI. 50-foot is for, what do we have for 50-foot?
It's for in between. So the 100-foot is for Alamar and 200 is for the perimeter and
No, the 50-foot is for internal streets.
internal streets.
Yeah,
Right.
this isn't a
Sorry.
street, so it's just two
Internal
lots.
streets.
Okay, so it's not lots. Okay.
Any other questions or public comment? Then I will move to item 4, consent agenda item. Do you have a motion?
So I would move approval of the consent agenda for sketch final, simple parcel, minor subdivision for Miller Realty Group, with one change to the staff report. I'd like to request that we just strike lines, end the sentence at this plan and strike the rest of 85, 86, and 87. I didn't think that belonged in the,
Hang on, let me get there.
sorry.
85, 86, 87.
Yep. It's an appropriate request, but it doesn't belong in a staff report,
So after plan, put a period and delete the remaining sentence.
please. That would be my proposal.
So I would just offer that this is a quote from what they offered up as their comments to the application. It didn't make it to a condition. So if you want it, I could change it to say the fire chief said in part.
I want it stricken. It's not appropriate for the letter,
Right.
in
so-
my opinion.
And that's fine. So I mean, I think I should add the words, the fire chief said in part, and then keep the part that you
Yeah,
want.
that's-
She said-
Oh, I see what you're saying, to note that it's a reduced, sure.
Right.
If that is what you want to do, in part it is.
I'll second David's motion.
Moved by David, seconded by John. Any additional it's consent agenda item, so.
Right.
All those in favor? Motion-
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. So we are on now to what is now item 5, public hearing site plan amendment. Al Senecal doing business as A&C Realty, proposing to refit existing 58,500 square foot structure located at 6A Susie Wilson Road by adding a 274 square foot addition to allow for 2 warehouse units and the expansion of the go-kart facility. Who will be presenting this from staff? Not you guys yet.
Me.
Dana, you're on.
Hi, Dana.
Hey!
How you doing?
You're new. Thanks. Welcome.
So, you will remember this as Al's project for a indoor climbing facility, which is the building on the left, and another commercial building on the right, which was a roller skating rink and a go-kart facility. With this application, he is proposing to modify the 58,500 square foot building by removing the roller skating rink and expanding the go-kart facility and adding 2 warehouse facilities and the loading dock that will go along with them. There will be no changes to the existing indoor climbing facility. From staff's perspective, this is pretty straightforward. There are a few things to note. The access won't change. It's going to continue to be an easement over the Koblaka Trust, the Lowe's property. Dennis Lutz, our Public Works Director, is satisfied that the traffic conditions from the 2013 Planning Commission approval have been met. This project before you this evening will generate 75 peak hour trips, 1 extra PM trip than the previous approval, and Dennis has asked for a traffic impact fee to cover this 1 PM trip. He has also asked that a new full weekday traffic count be done, from I think it's 6 or 7 in the morning till 8 at night. So that's been added as a condition. He said that the ever problematic Suzie Wilson Road and Route 15 intersection will not be either worsened or improved by this project, but he still wants to monitor its impacts. The parking area has been modified to accommodate the new truck dock. The parking before existed between the 2 buildings, and now it's been shifted so the warehouse, the truck docking facility will be able to have its turning movements. The new proposal will require a total of 155 parking spaces, and the applicant is requesting a 149 space waiver. So, from staff's point of view, that's really the
Waiver of
The
6,
issue.
a waiver of 6 spaces, not a waiver of 149?
well, yeah.
Okay, I just
Um,
want to be clear that just wanted to be
Yeah.
clear in the scope.
Sorry
of
about that. My notes are hard to read
No, it's
here.
a waiver of 149.
You want 6 lots, you want 6 parking spaces?
No, the total
What's
request.
required
No,
is
yeah, just-
100 okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Are we clear on that?
Yep.
Okay.
I was just picking on Dana, actually, that was it, so,
The other issue,
yeah, well.
there's an increase in the building footprint of 274 square feet. So the on-site impervious area will remain 3.8 acres, will become 3.8 acres total, which will be covered under the existing stormwater permit. So, that's about it.
Any questions for staff at this point?
No, sir.
Then I will go to the applicant.
I'm Dan Heil, a project engineer at O'Leary Burke Associates. With me tonight is the applicant and owner, Al Senecal. Dana summed up the project. This was approved as a site plan by the board back in 2013 for 2 commercial buildings. On the western side of the parking lot, you have Metro Rock, an indoor rock climbing facility. That is to remain. No changes are proposed to that building. On the eastern side of the parking lot, you have Essex Speedway, also the former home of Skateland. Skateland's being removed, Essex Speedway is being expanded upon, and 2 proposed warehouse units right here and right here are being proposed as well. Changes to the on-site infrastructure include the addition of the truck dock. We're modifying, actually it might be easier to go to another sheet.
You know what number you want to?
Let's skip down to 2. Yeah, here we go. So you have 2 proposed warehouse units right here. You have the truck dock over here. We're realigning the travel way to accommodate the truck dock. So trucks would pull in and then they would actually back up into the dock. We're closing a stop sign over here to allow cars coming in to stop if the truck's backing up, direct them to stop. The project is required 304 parking spaces per the zoning, 155 spaces. So we are seeking a 149 space waiver on parking. The project previously received a 151 space waiver, but we are decreasing the parking on site. To further justify that, we went out on site 3 times through the course of April and May to conduct parking counts out there. The first 2 parking counts on April 22nd and April 29th, they were both Saturdays. That is the peak day. State Land was still in business at that time. Parking count on April 22nd, we had 122 spaces occupied. April 29th, 146 spaces occupied. And then the following parking count on Saturday, May 6th, there were 46 spaces occupied. So there was a dramatic decrease once Skate Land was closed from the Saturday before. But regardless, all three parking counts, would meet that 155 parking spaces we are proposing. The demand would meet that 155 parking spaces. So we're comfortable that the 155 parking spaces would be sized to handle the proposed use of Essex Speedway, proposed warehouse, and Metro Rock. And going through the staff notes, we really had no questions or comments. We are okay with all of the conditions in the staff notes as well. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that the board has.
Wow, cool.
Can you believe that?
I know. Where's Dave Burke?
Carefully.
Any questions for staff or applicant at this point? Okay, I do have one. You got one?
No, I was going to open the public hearing, so go for it.
I'm trying to wrap my head around the truck docks, loading docks, and truck bays at the primary entrance to the rest of the facility. I know you say you put a stop sign there, but I'm still trying to wrap my head around any other warehouse that's come before us. The loading docks have been away from the primary entrance and egress in and out of the parcel. So I'm more than a little concerned about that.
So the primary entrance is actually over here.
No, I mean the
Oh,
primary
entrance
entrance to the
into
parcel.
The parcel.
So you've got the loading docks
Yeah.
right there,
Yeah.
which is good because you're not bringing them through the entrance. I get that, but it's right there. So I'm still chewing on that.
And we did try to provide traffic control measures to help traffic coming in and out of the site if there was a truck backing up into that loading bay area.
It's actually the only end of the building that physically there's space to put the loading docks. And when we originally designed the building, we had an inkling, that if Skate Land didn't work out or the Speedway didn't work out, that we'd be coming back for this type of use. Granted, it'd be nice if it was on the backside or somewhere else, but it just doesn't fit. The only thing I would add is that your warehouse traffic is typically going to come and go during the day. 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's going to be done, and what the Speedway all doesn't even open usually to what
11 o'clock.
Yeah. So
It's very slow during the day.
So obviously for the recreational facilities, you're probably looking at the peak is more between 5 p.m. and maybe 11 p.m. So there is some mixing of traffic, but we wouldn't expect it to be very much.
Plus, they're very small,
Trucks?
comparatively, warehouse spaces, 7,000 square feet. One that we're thinking of putting in there is a guy that just gets one or two tractor trailer loads a week, and then he breaks those down into smaller packages, and most of the truck traffic will be UPS from there. The other one is box trucks, whereas it's 24-foot box trucks that'll be backing up to the dock, so it's a lot smaller than a tractor trailer. But there's still a possibility that another tenant can come along and it'll be more tractor trailer. But it's also about 40 or 50 feet away from the throughway once the trucks are backed in there, so.
Yeah, it's not the once they're backed in that's the issue. It's the getting the process of turning the rigs around and the process of even leading afterwards. So I hear you.
Yep.
David, you were going to open the public hearing. You still
I move we open the public hearing.
Second.
moved by David, seconded by Deanna. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Public hearing is open. Does anyone have any questions or comments on this? I would take another motion.
I'll move we close the public hearing.
Moved by David, seconded by Deanna. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Public hearing is closed. So in general, I have a hard time usually digging into an application when both staff and applicant are pretty much in agreement with everything that's written. I would be comfortable, I think, with noting in our findings that I'm more than a little concerned about the presence of the truck turnarounds and so forth right there at the beginning of the parcel, and then leave it at that, unless other folks have ideas or concerns or considerations.
I thought you'd be more concerned about the trucks going through the parking lot.
Well, I am. Well, I mean, bottom line is, I think if that was the real thing, I would say that that's not an appropriate use, and I would potentially lean on denying it, which is where I would go with it. I don't think it would be appropriate for the trucks to go through, and I'm trying to just sort of step back and recognize the effort and the comments that they've made.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested in, I mean, I've been in that, I've got no issue with the reduction in parking, because I've been in that place a ton of times, and I've never seen that parking lot full. But I share the same concern you do. I'd be interested in hearing the applicant talk about how you've said you've done some measures to kind of deal with the traffic flow in there, because I am too worried about people going to the right as opposed to what looks like a natural staying left and kind of going.
You're actually talking about the traffic flow of people going to the facilities, not necessarily the trucks.
Right, I'm more worried, about keeping them from
Going through the
commingling
trucks.
with the trucks.
Yeah, and we have provided some proposed striping for the travel lane, since it won't be curved. We have some double yellow in the middle, and then we have white striping along the perimeter to direct those cars that are going to Metro Rock or the Essex Speedway away from the truck dock and over to the parking lot over here.
And that's flat and 100% visible, if I recall, in there, where you're going to come around that corner and it's going to be obvious that's a truck dock and my parking's over there.
And the stop sign will help as well for
Yep.
them to determine that.
Got nail strips along that.
That'll work. I mean, there's so much visibility there that I have less concern that someone's going to come around that corner and hit a truck because it's flat.
Okay.
All right, I'm good.
Anyone willing to offer a motion?
Will we approve the application?
I would second that if we add in just the notation that at least one commissioner is, or one or two commissioners are concerned about the,
I agree with you, sir. More than one.
okay, that we recognize the potential concern over the proximity of the loading docks to the entrance and egress of the parcel.
Yeah, has this been seconded? Are we talking about
I was
it?
talking about seconding it, so if you've got commentary you want to add in, that's,
Well, I would just say that under our comments, I think we ought to.
it looks like he's working on the second.
No, I want to capture what you just said, as well as let's capture the waiver again on
The parking.
the reduced parking and the shared parking scenario, and talk about the different hours, and
Okay.
and that the applicant basically testified that during their traffic counts they never exceeded the number of spaces they have allotted. So that would be my second with a friendly amendment to the staff report, capturing Dustin's comments and then those about the parking waiver. And if you need me
Moved
to...
by Tom, seconded by David, with some extra additional commentary. Any additional questions or comments on? Are you comfortable with? Then all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, onward.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a public hearing, site plan master plan amendment for Hergenrother doing business as BlackRock Essex FW LLC. This is a proposal to eliminate office building and increase the 71-bed assisted living facility from 24,000 square feet from a 24,000 square foot footprint lot to a 39,243 square foot footprint lot for a property located at 6 Freedom Woods. Who will be presenting from staff?
That will be me. And
PC file folder.
Dead man walking.
sure I have the right plans pulled up, so bear with me for a second.
Short timer.
Yeah. Remember where you are, Greg? Just
I
curious.
seem to be losing it. I thought I pulled up the right plans, and now they're gone. Let's see.
While we're waiting, I'll note that the PC file holders has a letter from a person of interest in the application who could not attend tonight. So if Vice Chair Raphael.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that great?
With pleasure.
Did one or two?
Just this one. Oh, that's,
One is informational.
That was,
and
yeah.
the letter is what he requested.
No, Chair's referring to the other memo on the lights.
Oh, right.
Okay.
All right, thanks for your patience. So this is 6 Freeman Woods. It's a mixed-use planned unit development that has been before you in the past. It's got originally was approved for an assisted living facility, an office space, memory care facility, and 17 townhouses. The memory care facility has been built, the townhouses are under construction right now, so the proposed amendment applies to this portion of the site. Originally, as approved, there was a 6,000 square foot office space building here and the assisted living facility with 20,000 square feet there. The proposed change would get rid of the office building and expand the footprint of the assisted living facility. The assisted living facility would be going from 24,000 square foot footprint up to 39,000 square feet footprint. The number of bedrooms in the unit would stay the same, still at 71, so no change in the number of tenants. No changes to the memory care facility or the townhouses, so all the changes apply to this area. Basically, Public Works has recommended that there be flashing pedestrian crossing signs put up here and here, helping with the aging population that would most likely be living in the assisted living facility. Stormwater, there's a little bit of an increase in impervious surface with the changes here, but it's still within the threshold allowed by the state stormwater permit. Parking, there's an elimination of about 18 spaces. The applicant's looking to keep this area not built yet, but keep it on the plan as a potential future parking area for 10 spaces. Landscaping, there's a few changes, basically just based on the footprints of the buildings. There'd still be foundation plantings in here. There'd be some screening along here from the roads. I can pull that up in more detail if you're curious about it. Otherwise, lighting, a few more wall-mounted lights, 10 units up from 7. Fewer pole-mounted lights, fewer canopy lights, and the lights along the road here would be shifted a little bit. Still, there had been 3 lights that were approved. They're still in the plans, just slight changes to the location. Those are basically the only changes. Otherwise, in terms of circulation, sidewalks, stuff like that, pretty much all stays the same. So just wanted to hit the highlights of what is going to be different if approved. As Sharon mentioned, there's a couple of comments in your PSC file folders. One record. Recommend we do that when we get to the public hearing.
Yep.
And there's another one about lighting. I can speak to that probably during public hearing as well. I just want to call those out. Bruce Bonamini and Dan Mellinger is the one who speaks about the lighting. Other than that, happy to answer questions.
Okay. Questions for staff?
So is that, I couldn't understand that little white square in the middle, that's a courtyard or something like that?
Yes.
So the overall height of the building is still under 40 feet?
Yes.
And the architecture is all matching?
Yep, we can, in here, there's some elevations.
You might let the applicant talk about that, but just
Sure.
see what you knew. So this, the area that's in color is what's new? Or is it
No, the
not
whole-
really? No, hang on a sec. So, okay, so that's the architecture basically is the same, it carries through.
Yeah, the architecture is going to be similar. It's just the footprint that's changing. So, associated changes with architecture to accommodate that, but in terms of style and all that is the same.
Okay. I'm good.
You're on.
Greg summed it up pretty well. This was approved in 2015 for the ALZ, 56-bed memory care facility, the 17 townhomes, 6,000 square foot office, and the 71-bed AL building. Basically, the only change is removal of the 6,000 square foot. The only change to the buildings is the removal of the 6,000 square foot office building, and that footprint was absorbed into the AL building over here. So the footprint did increase a little bit, but the number of beds remains the same at 71. Proposed impacts to municipal infrastructure have decreased because we have removed the office building and kept the beds the same at 71. PMP trips went down from 67 to 37, a decrease of 30. Water and sewer flows have also decreased as we don't have to account for the employees in the office building anymore. Stormwater will still be covered under the existing state stormwater discharge permit, as we're not increasing the impervious area over what was previously permitted. And looking through the staff report, I did have one correction to condition 7. Condition 7 reads, prior to the issuance of a zoning permit, the applicant shall work with Public Works to determine the appropriate procedure to abandon 2 existing water service connections off of the Freeman Woods water line. I believe this should read prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy, because that coordination with Public Works is going to take place during construction. So we'll need the zoning permit, and then during construction, we will coordinate with Public Works as we expose the existing water services. And then prior to that CO, we will need Public Works to sign off. So on line 538, I would just change zoning permit to certificate of occupancy. And I'd be happy to answer the lighting comments at this time as well, and I can hold off to the public hearing.
Any other questions, concerns with what staff presents?
No, everything else in the staff report is.
You're on. Why don't you keep going with the lighting?
So for the lighting, Dan Mellinger proposed that we remove the 3 light fixtures to the north of Freeman Woods. So pull up the photometric plan. We are proposing 3 light fixtures, one here, and one over here. And he has asked that we remove those as there's existing light fixtures on the southern side of the road. We'd be okay removing 2 of those fixtures. We'd still like to keep this one up here by the entrance to the proposed AL facility, as that light would provide direction for cars coming in at night and would make that entrance more easily visible for cars coming in. So we would be okay removing this light fixture and this light fixture. Second comment pertaining to Vermont Commercial Building Energy Standards, stating that the light fixtures should be on a timer and should be dimmable, and we're okay with that being a condition of approval as well, because the project will need to comply with the Vermont Commercial Building Energy Standards as part of Act 250, which we already are in for right now. So.
Commissioners, I mean, this seems like another sort of a state regulation that we're being asked to rule on, but we don't. So if it already has to comply with a state statute, essentially, do we even need to note it?
You can, we've put conditions on dimming lighting in the past, and I think you're fine to do it, but if it's a state condition, it's a little bit superfluous, in my opinion. But it also shows that you recognize the lighting and want to support reducing lighting when appropriate too, so I'd have no problem if you put it in there.
I bet you Greg's gonna get a lot of problems. Thoughts? Motion? to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by John, seconded by Tom. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. David?
So I'm going to read into the record what we were asked to by Mr. Bruce Badamini, his letter, dated June 7th, 2017. Dear Ms. Kelly, by way of brief perspective, I have a family member who is a resident of Spring Village at Essex, SVE, a facility that specializes in care of individuals with dementia, Alzheimer's, and memory loss. SVE was built by BlackRock Construction and opened in late November. I live in Essex and had hoped to attend the public meeting on June 8th regarding BlackRock's proposed construction of a 71-bed assisted living facility immediately adjacent to SVE. Dr. Robert Santulli from Dartmouth-Hitchcock Hospital will be speaking at the same time at SVE on the topic, Families Living with Alzheimer's. Regretfully, I'll be unable to attend the meeting and instead will be listening to Dr. Santulli. For the record, I'm a private citizen and in no way connected to the staff or management of SVE. I am appreciative and grateful for the opportunity to share some thoughts in writing. I do have some concerns about the proposed project that hopefully can be addressed. I'm totally unfamiliar with the protocol involved with such meetings. Please pardon me if I've asked a question or raised a concern that is considered to be inappropriate for the nature of this meeting. Number one, when might construction work begin and how long will it take? Relatedly, when will actual construction begin and how long will that take? 2, to what extent is the health and welfare of residents of Spring Village or other nearby care facilities taken into account in the permitting process for BlackRock's proposed assisted living facility? What will be the length of a construction day and what will be done to mitigate noise, which can be extremely upsetting to someone suffering from Alzheimer's? 3, does the state of Vermont have specific staffing ratios of caregivers to residents in such an assisted living facility, and if so, what are they? 4, can any guidance be given in terms of what expectations for staffing might ultimately be? As you are likely aware, many of the local care facilities are already short-staffed and experience high personnel turnover. The concern is that this facility may further exacerbate this situation. Are there specific plans to deal with this issue? This creates a highly stressful situation for both caregivers and family members of residents who experience and see firsthand staffing inadequacies. Number 5. To what extent can/does the Planning Commission or other regulators consider current or ultimate ownership of proposed facilities such as this? In the case of SVE, I believe that BlackRock was the original owner and then sold it last year to Sentio Healthcare Properties, a firm that is majority controlled by Kohlberg, Kravis, and Roberts, KKR. In May 2017, it was announced that Sentio Healthcare is being sold to Kane Anderson Real Estate Advisors of Florida. While there may be no control of who future owners may be, the revolving ownership is of concern. Please see attached press clipping. Number 6, some of the exits at SVE are not handicapped accessible. Given that a number of its residents are either in wheelchairs or use walkers, it is puzzling how this can occur these days, especially for a care facility. Will all these exits of the new proposed facility be handicapped accessible? Will BlackRock make SVE completely handicapped accessible? Number 7. There are a number of exits at SVE that have metal flashing on the roof directly over the doors. This past winter, there was a significant buildup of ice at times on the multiple SVE roofs, which proposed a potential hazard to residents. Might this be an issue at the proposed assisted living facility? How would it be addressed, and what can be done to mitigate the risk at SVE? Number 8, relatedly, there are ever post-construction reviews required or done. Relatedly, are there ever post-construction reviews required or done by the Planning Commission to learn of construction suggestions/concerns that the new owner/manager of a facility such as Spring Village may have, which may be beneficially incorporated in the design and construction of the proposed assisted living facility? Number 9, as you're about a third of the way down Freeman Woods, exiting SVE, nearly opposite the first post but on the right-hand side of the road, and where BlackRock likely expects to build its new facility, there is a large concrete box about 18 feet long, 8 feet wide, and 6 feet deep with water in the bottom. The box may have something to do with electrical considerations. There are 2 rectangular openings at the top of the box that are minimally covered by a light wire and some 2x4s. This is not made secure to the box and can be easily moved. The opening is sufficiently large enough for a youngster or even an adult to fall through. There is no way that a youngster could extricate himself from this hole, and it would likely be difficult for an adult as well. The situation has been brought to BlackRock's attention several times since the beginning of this year, including, I understand, by the Essex Department of Public Works. To date, nothing has been done to remedy this potentially dangerous problem. This simply does not appear to be a safe way to leave something out of this nature. I would kindly ask that this please be fixed before preventable tragedy occurs. There are young children and seniors with memory issues that walk on the sidewalk just a few feet away. Please see picture below. He must have a battery problem. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share these concerns. Best wishes, Bruce Budamimi.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Long one.
We are not going to read in the,
Yeah, that was just
Advertising.
FYI, yeah.
so, just to walk through a number of these things, to be honest with you, as I read them, I don't see them being our purview. Especially to the existing facility, since we're talking about a footprint lot tonight. Some of them I think are valid, but they would be more validly addressed by the owners of the existing SVE,
Yeah.
to use his acronym.
Yeah, and staffing and anything that has to do with licensure is handled by the state.
Yep.
Greg's got it.
I think even something like construction, Greg?
I was going to say, I think you can ask what construction hours are and the length of time it might take and the handicap accessibility. I think are the three things that you can ask about, but the rest of it is, yeah, outside of your purview.
Thoughts or questions for, either additional questions for staff or applicant?
What will the construction hours be, and what are your comments to the handicap accessibility?
Generally speaking, construction hours run 7 to 3:30. The contracted purchaser of the facility, of the proposed footprint lot, is the owner of the other facility with the same management company. So as far as any interruption or disturbance to the residents, obviously they would be concerned with that, and we would work with them to mitigate any noise or anything like that. As far as the handicap accessibility, the architect would address that, and that would be met to code, as well as this facility would fall under the purview of the state regulators. So that's an additional layer of oversight there. So.
Yeah, the Division of Fire and Safety regulates handicap accessibility, and
Right,
that
ADA.
is the licensed care facility. Yeah, that second layer that comes in and makes sure that they meet all the applicable codes.
Does code require that every entrance to the facility be
No, it does not.
Okay, that's the direct question.
We have the construction hours Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., Saturday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. But like Ben said, a lot of times they'll be stopping at 3:30.
Okay.
Then the construction schedule on existing building was, what, approximately 12 months, 13 months?
Yeah, I think this one's a little larger. This is probably a 12 to 14 month schedule.
Good. Greg?
I have a question for the applicant, if I could. Dan, in terms of the lighting along the road, you said you're okay with taking out these two lights. Is that going to create gaps along the road and in terms of the uniformity ratio going way up and down?
It would modify the uniformity ratio, and it would it'd basically be what it is out there today with the addition of that light fixture right there. So there would be gaps in the road, as you can see. I think these are the contours for the .1 foot candles. So there would be gaps right here and right here between those three existing light fixtures.
To note, given its proximity, that side of the building, which is likely to be exclusively resident rooms, we wouldn't be opposed to dropping those two fixtures. It'd be nicer for folks not to have a street light outside their window.
Thanks. Tom? John?
All set.
David? Good. Fiona?
And me, can I ask a question?
Yes, you can.
So, I didn't get
Friday, I believe you said.
Okay, thank you.
Friday and Saturday.
Same hours on,
Saturday
Saturday
we've
till
got 8 a.m.
5.
to 5 p.m.
thank you,
Yeah,
that's what I
those are
meant.
the standard package 50 hours that they
Okay.
So the public hearing is open. Do we have any questions? And I would take a motion.
We would close the public hearing.
Moved by John, seconded by Tom. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Public hearing is closed. Do we have any additional questions, comments, or considerations? David, you've got pen and paper.
No, I think, I mean, what I captured was we have agreement, well, we can put into the findings the applicant's notation on the hours and the oversight on the handicap accessibility, and then we have the applicant agreeing to remove the 2 lights outside of the entrance light and acknowledging that they'll conform to the Vermont Commercial Building Energy Code. Basically what I got. Everything else, I'm good.
Anybody else have additional? I'm good with those points being captured.
And then the one change, if we're in agreement to, if staff doesn't have an issue of going from zoning permit to CO on condition. Okay.
I've got one more question.
Okay.
The landscaping plan, is that the same as the one you negotiated with the neighbors?
We have to, well, Ben can answer to negotiating with the neighbors. There is a condition in there that we are going to be updating the landscaping plan to show the existing trees. So it wasn't the same as previously proposed when, back in July of 2015. Ben could give a little more insight on working with the neighbors on that.
Obviously, we have to, with the change in shape of the building, we have to, change the scope of what's going on around it. The neighbors, we actually began this process in February of 2016. That's how long this sort of redraws unfolded. And we have, through their attorney, and then in the last 2 weeks directly with Mr. May, we've kept them in the loop, provided them with updated elevations, updated drawings, updated landscaping plans, so that they haven't really had any questions. They had a couple of questions about roof height, if that was changing, so on and so forth. But other than that, we've taken great care in the layout of the building to stay within the spirit of the settlement agreement. And I think everybody's pretty happy.
So
It's a work with staff.
the condition says work with staff, so you guys gonna touch base with the neighbor organization?
Certainly have them provide something from the neighbors, whoever's the point person.
I mean, I can forward an email because we had there was a little misprint and which caused a bit of a dust up a week or so ago. So I had quite a bit of interaction with Victor, and we had a good exchange. And I do have an email dated last week. He said, I've received everything. Sharon sent me an email correcting everything, and I forwarded that, and they said that it all looked good to them. Nobody's here, so certainly everything was clear.
So there'll be an overall updated landscaping plan. Is that what you're going to provide, or just it's going to be a verbal agreement?
We will be providing an updated landscape plan showing the existing street trees along the freeway.
So I will just get a verification from the folks.
Okay.
Including the work with staff.
Commentary? John, were you prepared to make a motion on this while David's typing?
Sure. Everybody's ready, I guess? Okay. I move we approve the application for site plan, master plan amendment. Hergenrother doing business as BlackRock. Proposal to eliminate an office building and increase the 71-bed assisted living facility from 24,000 square feet to 39,243 square feet. Both those are footprint lot for the property located at 6 Freeman Woods and then mixed planned unit development zone, tax map 94 parcel 11. With a commentary that in the findings, but the staff report as written, but we want to eliminate 2 lights. Is that part of our deal?
That's what I'm writing.
You're on it. Okay. You're going to.
Yep.
He's asking for your
So I'll second with the I started the change in the Planning Commission comments at 5:10. While reviewing the project on June 8, 2017, the Planning Commission noted comments from a neighbor expressing concern over the added lights on Freeman Woods. The applicant agreed to remove 2 of the 3 lights, leaving the 1 new one at the entrance. The applicant acknowledged having to conform to the Vermont Commercial Building Energy Standards. Is that all right?
With the change to the C.
Yeah, to condition 7.
And then, yep, change to condition 7, changing the word zoning permit to CO.
Yep.
And then I was going to ask, do you want on the Planning Commission comments that the applicant noted what the hours and days of construction as being Monday through Friday, 7 to 6, and Saturdays,
Saturday,
7 to
7 to 5, 8 to 5, whatever it was.
Want to throw that in?
Fine, I mean, again, they did say Act 250 requires that, but it's always good to have a condition in case something
I wasn't going
gets
to put it in a condition, I was just going to put it as what the applicant noted. But
set. So, yeah. So
it's going to be a condition of their Act 250 permit. So.
Right, but, you know, everybody makes mistakes sometimes, so if that got missed, or if they changed it, it doesn't hurt,
But
but
we recognize that the Act 250 conditions of working, the work.
That's fine.
Act 250 conditions stipulated the working hours.
Yeah.
Then we don't even have to do that, then we're just referencing
Yeah.
Act 250.
Yep, let's do that. In the commission comments, that the commission noted that the construction days and hours were conditions of the Act 250 permit already in place.
And do you want to note that they're working with the neighborhood on the landscaping?
Sure. Well, we have revised, that's done, right?
staff will confirm that neighbors received the revised landscape plan.
We'll get that out to them in short order.
Okay. Anything else? David and John,
I'm
did you
good.
think of?
I think that's
Thank
it.
you, David.
Thank you, Joan. I think that's
Sharon,
it.
do you have any questions over the motion as presented?
Yep.
Any further discussion? And all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's take a 2-minute break.
7:23. Pause. Every time I pause this thing.
Sharon, to click
Resume
forward.
7:25.
So the last item we have tonight are the minutes from May 25th.
A couple changes.
So let's move the minutes of the May 25th.
So I'd move approval.
I've got it. Moved by David, seconded by John. So let's go through Tom, moved by Tom. Page at a time. Page 1.
So,
Line,
line 56.
Oh, wait, can I go back to page 1?
Sure.
Line 5, we need to add Deanna in there. I believe she was, right, she was there.
Yep.
4, 5.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, that's good. 5 comes before
Should add
56.
contain.
So 56, it wasn't that noting that the limitations on stormwater, I want to change it to read, Commissioner Rafferty noted that if the limitations on increasing impervious area for stormwater management is not in the deeds. So there's that whole discussion about square footage.
So it's noted that if the limitations,
So I had it read, Commissioner Rafferty noted that if the limitation on, and then new word, increasing impervious area for
yeah.
stormwater management is not in the deeds.
Got it.
Okay.
continuing on. Anything further on what is written so far? So what I'm not seeing at this point is, as we maybe noted, that we had some documentation that I had read in at the end to be included in the minutes from this meeting.
Other business.
So I think we have that in writing and that can be inserted. So I would like to request that we approve these minutes, but including that additional documentation to be inserted. I don't know that it has to come back before us.
No.
It was verbatim, so it
Yeah.
was under other business.
And then I'd also like to propose adding in something to our approval of the last one. We took all that, and if people don't want to do this, I'm not bent on it, but we took all that information in from the neighbors, and we were so busy in our deliberative session with the technical stuff that we never really put in our findings. So I would propose adding, and if people don't want to do it, I'm fine, but the following couple of sentences into our approval on the 15, yeah. Planning Commission considered the written comments submitted by the neighbors and agreed that substantial changes were made by the applicant to address their concerns. The Planning Commission agreed that no further changes were needed at this time.
Which one is that for, just to be?
15,
Upper Main.
Upper Main.
Okay, so that would be on the document that we have tonight. We would want to have,
And I strategically crafted it so that you can still sign it and I can add that. If you made changes.
Aren't you just a
Crafty.
crafty?
One step ahead, always. Keep an eye on her.
okay, so you're looking for an amendment to the minutes, and then that amendment to be reflected in the approval letter that goes out.
Please, if people are okay with it. I felt like it was important to acknowledge the neighbors.
Since David moved the acceptance of the minutes, I'm going to consider that to be a portion of his original motion. Is there any concern about that?
Sounds good.
Yeah. All those in favor of the minutes as moved and amended this evening?
Second, or
Approved? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
You know what you meant.
I knew what it meant.
I would take another motion.
Move we adjourn?
Do we have a second? We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are done. Thank you.
7:30. Adjourned.
Too smooth.
So, are we off?
Are you going to
Hang
send
on.
that to me, Dave?
Are we off?